Do we have any questions for Petra and Dr. Hamershak? Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'll stand or yeah. Okay. Thank you for a very Thank you for a very interesting presentation. I had a question for Petra, but it's in a way something that concerns all of us. I was just wondering, in the work with the old biographical lexicon, have you discussed, or how should I put this? Have you had any ideological considerations in terms of gender, for instance, when it comes to the old lexicon and your decision on coping the old and not doing anything with it? I mean, I think we've had no pictures of any women today. So the history is written by and for men. So I was just wondering what kind of discussions you've had on that topic.
Vivid.
Yeah.
The Slovenian biographical lexicon was a lexicon of the time and space, of course. And nowadays, the things are changing. So also regarding gender questions and debates, yes, we have vivid debates. And we try to include women, of course. But it's a tricky one because you have to think about context. And yeah, this is something what I think it must be done, because otherwise we have part of a story and the other part is silent. So yeah, absolutely vivid debate.
May I intervene very shortly in this question? We had, for instance, a debate that turned out to be surreal. It didn't involve women, sorry to say, but it did involve a couple of people that are not directly related to the Slovenian culture and territory, right? And they're the former editor-in-chief of the New Slovenian Biographical Lexicon can back me up when I tell you this story. So it was about whether or not to include in the lexicon Cyril and Method, so that the early Christian proselytizers of the faith, right? And we heard surreal arguments that they were not even Slovene, obviously, because there was no Slovenia at the time. They didn't come to the Slovenian territory, and if they came to the Slovenian territory, they were just there for 5 minutes, and so on and so forth. And the new Slovenian biographical lexicon should be for people of the 20th century. Well, the story became so heated that several people just stepped away from the project. And it was not even the most ideologically controversial debate of them all, right? So I think I saw Eva.
As a follow-up question, I think looking back is one part of the story, but also thinking towards the future. Do you have any strategies for the new biographies that you add, that they are more balanced, that they have got minorities included? Also on the Croatian side, I think there is this kind of discussions that are there in all the national biographical dictionaries, and on the one side, yeah, altering what was done in the past is a discussion that one can have, but do you have strategies for the futures?
Well, perhaps I could go back to the gender question. So the first book of course, Croatian lexicon is younger than its Slovenian brother. The first book was finished in 1983. Well, it was considered to have only public figures. So, or at least which public, of course, in the Middle Ages, what was public or not had different meaning. But in a way, it was decided that a person had to have some public public activity that will be seen by others, that will be noted by others, that something of it remains. So, of course, some women were queens, or at least helped their husband as being queens, entered wars because of the sovereignty rights and so on. So this kind of women were also included in the early ages. Then we have practically only 19th century, those suffragetti, school teachers. We have, I have mentioned this book, 19th century Croats. There was one woman in there, opera singer, already in 1898. So what changed? Initially, if husband and the wife entered the lexicon and each got its own entry, only for the wife it was said she is a wife of that. We have changed that. So now for also a husband is a husband of somebody. Of course, now it is a problem with dissolving marriages. Whom are we to mention? First wife, second wife, first husband. So it is, of course, a problem. But now I've got an idea for a colleague from Finland. Well, in Croatia, at least 100 women have known to be burnt at the stake as witches. So perhaps at least the last one of them, which is the most renowned, his name is widely known. At least these days, perhaps we can think at least about having a biography, a last woman to be burnt as a witch. Maybe, well, this is obviously a public, at least in the later interpretations, public achievement, or not achievement, but accident.
By the way, we do have a strategy on how to remedy the fact that looking at not only events but personalities in the past was very, let's say, male-inclined or let's say biased, very man-slanted. As Petra already mentioned, the
Glossary.
Yeah, the glossaries. So the letters A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth, they are being revised all the time. Once a thing is printed on paper, well, it's there. So the book is out. However, the computer version, so the web-based version, is all the time open to change and amendments and adding new articles or let's say correcting data and so on and so forth, so that we can also revise these glossaries that have been put together, what, 20 years ago?
No, for the new Slovenian biographical lexicon, the first effort was in 2008. Yeah.
So 15 years ago.
Yeah. But each letter of the alphabet, when it's to be done, we reconsider all the names and see if there's something or somebody to be added or excluded.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's ongoing all
It's
the
an
time.
ongoing process.
Yeah.
I'm just so tempted. So if I don't want to take up the time if anyone else have questions, but I'm just so tempted to share this anecdote with you concerning my own, Asbjørnsen in Norway. And it comes without saying, reading the sources is the basic message here. In all the biographies produced of Asbjørnsen, he's portrayed as quite a womanizer. You saw the picture, so you may wonder, but still. That he was very fond of women. He communicated with them frequently, both the wives of his, fellows, but also others. But when I started reading the letters, I was wondering, have anyone actually read these letters? Because what emerges is not a womanizer. He's polite, yes, and he knows his language, and he is lyrical, he's poetic, and of course, but who wasn't during the 19th century, right? So what he does is actually communicating about the topics, science, the emerging fields, and the women that has been nameless in the folklore archive in Norway until now are the emerging feminists. So they would be political active. They would be the first women to be rectors, headmasters of schools. They would participate and push the limits at their time for what they could do. So to be honest, I'm just so happy to be able to contribute to rewriting the biography of Asbjørnsen, not as a womanizer, but as one of the very early feminists of Norway, long before this movement actually came into, some more organization of the political Norway. So it's I don't know what my point here is, but one of the fruits of that is actually now we're writing a lot of biographies of women during the 19th century, of women contributing, being folklore collectors, and who's been nameless until now. So So I guess there's a lot of material for you also to find in your archives. Thank you.
Right, thank you. I think it makes sense to draw the line here today. I would like to thank everyone for having the stamina to endure the whole day. I found the whole day extremely interesting and inspiring. I would like to thank all the contributors. And just the last thing on the agenda for me to tell you, we will reconvene outside 5 minutes to 7, so that's 6:55 in metric. So 5 minutes to 7 outside here so that we finish the day in a somewhat less academic fashion. So, thank you for today, and X kipit progos.
Last but not least, thank you, Gregor.